Good morning everyone. Jason, Barath, Ravula, Benno, hello. Can you all hear me well? Awesome. Thank you, Prince. Thank you. Okay, so let's get things started. Good morning, everyone. I hope that you had a great weekend. I hope that the tests, I know that this is a week with many tests for you. So I hope that you have been able to, relax a little bit over the weekend, but I get it. You had a lot to study. And some of you have 7 tests. I remember some of you saying that you had 7 this week. So I want to make sure that our test will not stress you that much. That's why we are taking the day today to do the exercise that will get you ready for your test. So your test will be at the end of Friday. So you still have, I'm assuming that for most of you, our test will be the last test of the week because it's the very end of Friday. So after my test, you will be able to, I guess, relax a little bit more. So, question, who had the chance to do the exercise, the bonus 7 exercise, which is related to the test? Who had the chance to do that? Who had submitted some questions? Anyone? Give me some feedback there in the chat. Yeah, Ravi? Okay. Awesome. It's good. If you had not had the chance, you're gonna see today. I'll be demonstrating. So today is not about you doing the exercise because I won't be allocating time for you to do the exercise. I will do the exercise. I'll demonstrate the exercise. It would have been very good if you had the chance to do it because now you can ask your questions, okay? If you submitted questions to the bonus, make sure that you have them handy. I want to make sure that you leave today knowing how to do this exercise. Again, I cannot stress enough that this exercise will help you to have a good midterm, okay? Again, if you have done Comp 1, 2, 3 with me before, you know the exercise really helps with the test, okay? So, before we get started, are there any questions that you'd like to push forward? I'll have always Padlet open as well. So if you want to ask me anything anonymously, you can do that over there. But is there any questions before I start to demonstrate the exercise? To be honest, this exercise is a very interesting one, a very good one, because it's gonna involve the many different aspects that we have gone through over the course of our first half of the course, So, however, it does not have databases, it does not have some advanced stuff, but it will show that you know the basics of MVC. Joanna, on Friday, can I write the test based on the other project that has already been created? I'm assuming that you are asking if you can copy the current project and use it as a starting point, is that? Okay, Joanna, I don't recommend you to do that, to be quite honest. And the reason is very simple. One, usually what happens when people try that is that they leave things from the old project in the new one. And if I see that, I'll mark you down. And so I would rather have all of you, actually it will be there in the test. You're gonna be starting the solution from scratch. You can open the one that we are doing right now, use it as a reference point, but the new one that you're gonna be using for the test, you will be starting from scratch, okay? And even if you got to the point that how can you use SP for checkbox, we're gonna have a look at radio buttons and checkbox today. You're gonna have a look at that, okay? But that's part of what you should be trying to do on your own, okay? Again, you have Google there, you have the web there. Did you try that on Google? How can you use SP4 as a checkbox? If you do that, you're gonna have around 1,000, 2,000 links to help you out. So you should have tried that. But anyway, I'll be demonstrating that today as well, okay? So without further ado, let's get this going. I would rather have extra time than not enough time, okay? I'll be breaking down, depending how things will go today, I may break it down into a basic solution that's gonna cover the exercise, and then if we have time, I'll go one step further that we're gonna try to enhance it to make it even better with some advanced points there that are not asking the exercise, but it's good that we practice that as well, okay? Good morning, Sona. Okay, so I will be opening the exercise here, and here's what we have. Patient system exercise. Your website is a registration tool for adding new patients to a medical system. Registered patients will be held in a repository. That's an in-memory repository, okay, not database. After registering the patient, display a thank you view stating, patient has been successfully registered as occupation of the patient on date and time. So you're gonna provide a thank you message. Very similar to what was done with party invites. The bold elements are dynamic. This is the patient name, this is the patient occupation, and this is the date and time that the patient is registered. Your site will include navigation for return to the registration page to enter more patients and to a list of patients. The patient list will consist of a list of all information about the patient. Okay, so the list will have all the properties. All shared elements on a page should be contained in a layout file. Okay, we're going to be using the layout to put the structure of the page there. And a single CSS file should contain all styling elements for the site. So we're going to have to add one styling CSS file. It's not Bootstrap. This is your own styling. A lot of you have just used Bootstrap in your assignment, and I was asking to have your own CSS as well. So a minor detail here. By the way, I have released the grades of assignment 1. So you have it. You have all of that. Just one quick note is that I will still be running my double check duplication on the assignments. So if you have not copied your assignment, you're fine. That's your grade there. However, if you have copied your assignment from somebody else, again, I will still be checking for that, and your grade may change if you have done that. Just a quick note here, just so you know that. Anyway, so all shared elements should be placed in a layout file, a single CSS for the styling. Each page should follow the same design, sharing a common look and feel. So again, we're going to be moving all common elements to the layout file. Okay, here we go. Functionality. Create an ASP.NET Core 2.1 MVC project using an amped project template. Okay, so very important. Some of you as well, not some, one person has used a pre-populated MVC template. That's not what we're doing here. We're using an empty template. Okay, so let's start there. So I'm gonna address code-specific questions when we are doing the coding and when we got to this part, okay? So we will see that there. So let's see here. So on Visual Studio, let's go to File, New, Project, and then we're gonna select ASP.NET Core Web Application. If you don't have it there in the recent projects, you can search for that. You can go ASP.NET Core Web Application, C#, make sure that it's the C# option. Okay, next. Let's call it Patient System. In this case here, there's nothing here asking for the name of the project specifically, so you could have put another name. I'm just calling it Patient System, okay? That's about it. You can keep the same solution name, that's fine, just keep it there. And you may or may not place in the same project, the same directory. Again, I'll keep this unchecked. You can keep this checked, that's fine either way. Let's click on Create. Also, everyone, again, this will be recorded, so you can review this later, but make your notes as we go along. Make your notes because there are a lot of little steps here. Make your notes there, okay? And also come back to the video recording to see and confirm your notes. Okay, so from here, 3 things, very important. First thing, .NET Core, ASP.NET Core 2.1. That's the version that we are using, okay? Second, we are using an empty template. The test as well, we're going to be using an empty template. Don't copy an existing solution and reuse it. Don't do that, okay? Use an empty template. And then third one, not the middle finger, third one, advanced here, configure for HTTPS. This gets unchecked. We are not getting a secured application, okay? Uncheck this option so that we don't get HTTPS. Some students as well, during assignments, they have kept this option selected. So again, we should uncheck this option, okay? And then we can confirm this if I can find the button there. Here's the button, so you can just hit create. And now it should be creating our project. Perfect. Okay, so let's keep moving here. So it's gonna ask us to create a view. Before that, how about we put together the main elements of our MVC application? Who can tell me what I should potentially, I mean, there's no particular order to be honest, but what would you recommend for me to do next here? What would you say? What should be a good next step here? Yeah, let's do the folders. That's great. Let's do the folders. All of them, 3 folders, all of them in plural, okay? So let's start with let's go right click the project, go to add, new folder, then we're gonna say controllers, then we have models, and then we have views. Okay, so 3 folders, controllers, models, views. They have to be spelled out like that, exactly like that, okay? Great. Yeah, models, it could be models. I mean, it doesn't matter which folder you create first, but create all 3 of them, okay? Now what? What should we move towards now? What could be the next step here? So, yep, so Syed, let's go to the startup. Let's configure the plumbing of our site, okay? There are a few lines that we should be mindful about adding in the startup, okay? So let's go to the startup. And the first thing, we're gonna add MVC here in the configure services. Who can tell me the line of code that I should put here? What is that? That is that services dot add MVC. Okay, so I mean, we are adding MVC to our application. Okay, that's the one that we do there in the configure service, and then in the configure service, and then in the configure, what we do is, yes, Basanta, because we are using here and in the test as well, I'm just gonna ask you to use the default routing. You're not gonna be using advanced custom routing features. You're not gonna need that for now. Okay, so I'm gonna get rid of this line of code that comes in the template. I'm not doing a real hello world here. I'm gonna delete this, and then I'm gonna say app.use MVC with default route. Okay, use MVC with default route. This is a method, and with that I'm adding MVC and I'm adding the default routing as well. There's one more little thing here that I would like to do it already. What else should I do here? Mehmet, to use static. Static, what is that static about? What is that for? What is that static for? Exactly. So we need to add use static files so that it activates the www root folder because we're gonna have to add images and CSS in that folder. So we need it to be active. If your style is not working, if your images are not loading, most likely it's because you missed this line. So app dot static use static files. Okay, so this line activates the www root folder. Without that, it won't work. Okay, great. Okay, so I think that we are good here with our basic plumbing. So we have the folders, we have startup. Let's have a look here. Okay, create a patient registration view. So here, it's basically asking us to create one form to enter this information. So you have a view there. You have a thank you view. You have a list view. So the form, the thank you, the list. Now, I'm also going to create an initial page. It's not saying here. If you did not create that, that will be fine. But I'm going to create an index view to be our initial homepage. The initial homepage will just have a welcome message. Again, it's not asking here. If you have not created that, that's fine. But I'll create that to be our startup view. Okay? So you're going to have this index view, a registration view, a list view, and a thank you view. We're going to have all those four views. Again, the home one, in your case, if you jumped straight to the list of patients, that's fine. If you jumped straight to the registration form, that's fine as well. I'm just gonna add the home view or the page or the index view to be our startup, okay? So, with that in mind, that we want to be able to run this application for the first time, the question is, what should I do next? What could be the next step for me to put a basic view together to be able to run this? What could I do next? I'm looking at the chat, waiting for some feedback there. The class, the models. Okay, let's. I want something a little bit more specific there. Let's be a little bit more specific. Okay. Okay, so Joanna, home controller. Let's do that. Let's put our home controller because home is our what? Home controller is our I want to answer. Default, yes. Home controller is our default controller, okay? And we are using the default routing. So I'm gonna go to the controllers folder, right click, click on add, new item. I'm gonna go via new item. I'm gonna go for class, and I'm gonna call this home controller. Okay, so home controller. Now, home controller inherits from whom? When I create a controller, I need to make it inherit from someone, from the controller, yes. So I'm gonna say controller here. Okay. Now, it says that it doesn't recognize controller because I did not add the namespace. So I'm gonna go to the little bubble, little light bulb. I'm gonna click there. I'm gonna say using Microsoft.ASP.NET Core.MVC. So it adds the namespace up there, and controller is all good here. Okay? Great. So with the class home controller created, the basic structure, what could be the next step here? Very, very simple next step. I'm going to create the action. Yes, the view result. So I'm going to create the action, the method here. What the action is, again, default action. What's the name of the default action? Index. That's it, Younger. So I'm going to say public. The type is, for now, we are just using view results. So the type is view results, public view result. And the name is index. No parameters here. And in the body, I'm just going to say return. Return what? Return view. Okay? So I'm just going to call the view method here. Return view. Now, I'm calling view without parameters. I'm not calling the name of the view. Because of that, the view has to match the name of the action, which is index. Then what I should do is I should go to the views folder and do what? What should I do in the views folder? Should I create my view directly inside the views folder? What should I do? Home. So I'm going to create a home folder. It has to match the name of the controller. So I'm going to say, I'm going to go to the views. I'm going to right click and add new folder. And I'm going to say home here. Inside home, I'm going to right click and I'm going to add new item. And I'm going to add a razor view called index. Let's keep that. Okay. Let's click on add. And I don't need anything here, to be honest. I'm gonna just remove everything. I'm gonna keep this just clean like that. And here, what is it that we do now? Here we can do a few things. So first of all, let's think about this. Are we using a layout? Are we going to use a layout? Yeah, actually, if you look at the exercise asks here, you see? Use a layout file, okay? So how about we start our view by defining the layout, okay? We did not create the layout yet, but I'm just going to put it at the top. I'm going to say, in the code block at the top, I'm just going to say, layout equals to, and I'm about to create the default layout file for this application, which usually we call it _layout, okay? We didn't create it yet, we're gonna create next, okay? So let's just keep it there. And yeah, let's create the layout file. But before that, I'm just gonna put a little markup here, a little HTML, just to put a welcome message and to tell the user what they will be able to do here. Okay, so I'm just gonna put again a little HTML code, a header. So I'm just gonna say welcome to the patient system, you will be able to, and then just list down the two options that you're gonna see in the system. Again, you don't have to put the same wording that I'm putting, okay? This is just an example. I'm just putting some HTML here. You can register a new patient and you can see the list of patients. That's it. I'm, again, not mandatory. This is just something that I wanted to put in my homepage. That's it, okay? Just some basic HTML here. Now, how about we create our layout? Okay, so layout, it goes where is the layout file should go, should be sitting, should be stored, in which folder? Yes, in the views shared. So I'm gonna go to the views here, I'm gonna right click, I'm gonna say add new folder, and I'm gonna add a shared folder. Inside the shared folder, I'm gonna add this layout file. I'm gonna say shared, I will right click, I'll click on add, new item, and then there is an option that says razor layout. Okay, here's the name. I'm gonna keep the default name. You can change this, but if you change here, you have to change here as well in the layout. Okay, so I'm gonna add. Now, the good thing with the layout is that usually it comes with the basic structure of a HTML page. However, if your Visual Studio is not bringing this to you already, and if it's bringing an empty file, you may want to keep this code easily available for you, so you can copy this code and paste inside your layout file in case you get a blank layout, okay? In case you get this, again, you can just easily copy this, store it locally, copy that to your solution, okay? And we have the basic elements here. We're not gonna be messing around yet with layout, we're gonna be adding things here, but not right now. Let's just keep moving forward instead of changing layout. One thing though that I'll do already is, you see, we have the view bag title right here. So this is where you can put the title of the view or the page, okay? So the place that we set the view title, the view bag title, we can go back to our view, and right after we set the layout, we can say view bag.title equals to, and let's say in our index view, we can call this homepage. Because then homepage becomes the title replaced here. And remember, render body, this is where the contents of the view will be placed, okay? So again, one note though, question here from Mehmet, is it possible to use several view bags in one page? Yes, you can, Mehmet, you can call it, the property here, you can call it however you want. Those are dynamic properties that you can create them as you see fit. You can use them however, how many times you want them, okay? No problem. One quick note, I saw some people doing this wrong in the assignment, and I'm gonna alert this for the test. Make sure that if you are using a layout file, and you should, don't repeat those things, doc type, HTML tag, head tag, body tag, in your views. The views should not have that. What I see sometimes is students forget about that, and they have the layout, and they have the views, and they both have those duplicated tags. So it comes with 2 HTML tags, 2 head tags, 2 body tags. Again, make sure that this is not repeated in the views. Okay? Okay. Great. How about we give this a try? Let's see if we can run and see something. Because at this point, we should be able to run this and view and see this view. Okay? Let's have a look if we can see that. Because then it's a good time to give it a run and see if we forgot about anything, you know. Don't wait for for everything to be done to try to run it. Okay, so it's not doing much yet, but at least I know that the basic plumbing is working. I know that the routing is working. I know that the view is working here. I know that the controller is working here. Okay, so I know that the basic elements are in the proper places. Okay, great. I think that this would be a good point to go back to the exercise and see what's next. Okay, so this is what we have. Create a patient. So we did the first one. We put everything together for the first one. The second one here, create a patient registration view like the image below. And here is the image of the view. And okay, the next question, is it needed to state layout every page, every view? Yeah, you have to set the layout on every view, yes, because otherwise they will not be using the same layout. Okay. Okay, so we have to create a form with those fields. But before we create the form, how about we create what? What should we create, I would say, before we create the form? To be able to get... Yes, Younger. So let's create the model here. The model that will store the patient information, okay? What is the model? The model is just a class. The class called patient class, okay? So I'm gonna go to the models. I'm gonna right click. I'm gonna go to add, new item, class, and I'm gonna call this patient. Now, let's look at this. We have patient name. Patient name is a, let's talk about the types here. So patient name, string, age, an integer, address, string, occupation, string, has insurance. Well, either you have it or not. So this is a very good option to be what? A boolean. Yes, a bool. Okay. Had previous operation. Again, either you have it or not. Another very good opportunity to use a boolean as well. The one here that is a bit, okay, what should I use here? And I will leave this open to you. As long as you store something meaningful, it's fine. I can tell you this, marital status, ideally, this would be an enumeration. Yes, enum. Now, I'm not gonna overcomplicate, I'm not gonna put this as enumeration. If you want to use this as a simple string, you can. I'm gonna be in the middle there. I'm not gonna make it enumeration. I'm not gonna make it a string. I'm gonna make it an integer. I'm gonna say that, let's say 1 is married, 2 single, 3 divorced, 4 widowed. Okay, so I'm gonna use numbers to store that. Storing as strings is not very efficient, okay? You can, I will accept that, but it's not very efficient. Ideally here, this would be an enumeration, but we can live with this field being an integer, with numbers being assigned here to them, okay? So I'm gonna be okay with that. So we're just gonna create the class here with some auto properties. So let's see here, I'm gonna go for public string, and I'm gonna call this just name, and then we have a get and a set, and I'm gonna do this a few times. I'm gonna do this for age, but age is an integer, and I'm gonna do this for address and occupation. So we have address and occupation, both are strings. I'm gonna have has insurance, so public boolean has insurance, I'm gonna put a get and a set as well. I never remember. There's a shortcut to create those, and I really don't remember. I'm not good at remembering some. I only know the basic shortcuts here. Previous operation. Again, the names, as long as you keep them with something reasonable, just make sure that you use the Pascal casing here, okay? So Pascal casing, you start with capital letters because those are public properties. And last one here we have, oh sorry, we have marital status, so public, oh prop tab tab, okay. So let's see, prop tab tab. Okay, oh prop sorry, prop tab tab. Okay, good. Thank you, thank. So let's go to marital status, and I'm gonna use this as an integer. And the last one, look what it says here. It says to use, look, we need to add a current date and time. And let's see if there's any mention about that here. Actually, no, but yeah, we see here, and the date and time. So we have to add the date and time field as well. So I'm gonna call this public. So prop tab, okay. Date time, this will be a date time field. I'm gonna call this registration date, and we have a get and a set. I see a question here from Sally. What if we make those attributes private for encapsulation purpose? Is that logical? Okay, Sally, is only if you make them private, you are making properties private. You don't make properties private. You make fields private. Remember, we have studied that on component 2.3. You make private fields and public properties. Here, we are not using fields because we are using auto-implemented properties, okay? So make them all public, otherwise you won't be able to access them from outside, and it defeats the purpose. Okay, Yonga, if you make fields private, then make, yeah, that's fine. That's awesome, Yonga, yeah, makes sense. Thanks for that. Okay, so registration date is supposed to be the date, yeah, thank you, Yonga. So registration date is supposed to get the current date and time for when the user was created, okay? Now, there are different ways that you could do this. I'm gonna demonstrate the way that I would do to capture the date and time. I'm not gonna ask the user to enter that. I'm gonna have the system automatically getting the current date and time and setting this to this field. So what I can do easily here, I can do this trick. I can say this is equals to date time dot now. That's it. By doing this, every time I create a new patient, I'm gonna get the current date and time automatically. There are different places that you can do this. You could do this when you are adding the patient to the collection. Again, if you do this in a different moment, as long as you capture this, that's fine. Okay? Let's set up publics, validate get set. We can do this. Oh yeah, you can. System, Basanta, system.datetime is just the name of the namespace. That's it. It's just because this is already available here. The system is already here, so I don't need to put the system again. Okay, but if you want to do, you can. But again, it's already here. We are already using system, so we don't have to do that. Okay. Okay, let me see if there are any questions there. Okay, we are not in the repository yet, so when we get to this, I'll answer this question. Okay, so we have our patient. Yeah, Mazir, when you update the patient, you could put the date there, okay? That's fine. That's fine. There are different places that you can put that, okay? I'm just showing the way that I would do. Okay, so what now? Our task right now is to do this form. So now we have the model. We can put together this form now, okay? So let's work through this. Let's now work on our, well, we can build the view and then go back to the controller, or we can build the controller, then go back to the view. Either way would work fine. So I'm gonna go with Yonga's, Basanta, we're gonna do the repository, but let's do the view already, okay? Let's go to the view. And once we have the view, then we are able to save the view. To save the view, we ask, where do we save it? We save in the repository. Then at that point, we create the repository. Again, there's no right or wrong in terms of how the order that you take here. I'm just following our conversation naturally here, and I see the suggestions there, okay? So let's go with the view. So I'm gonna go home, I'm gonna right click, I'm gonna add a new view. I don't really like to come with this option here, because sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I would rather go to new item. So from new item, I can select razor view, and I'm gonna call this, the form view, I'm gonna call register. You can give another name, that's fine. You don't have to give the same name as I'm giving here, okay? But I'm gonna call it register. Again, this is flexible. You can use your own name in there. Okay, I'm going to delete everything here. What's the first thing that I should do here? A few things that I could do. What would be the very first one? We are dealing with a form. This form is supposed to capture patient information. So, differently from the index did not have a, let's not go to the form yet thing. Before that, let's take care of something before the form, before the H2, at the very top. Yes, Yonga, so our index does not have a model. We don't give data to our index. However, for our register, we want to get data out of it, but out of it automatically inside of a model, of a type, of a class. Which class is that? Which class are we connecting to the model of this view? We're connecting the patient because we're collecting the information from the patient. So we say at model patient, okay? It means that the form that's going to be submitted here will create a new patient automatically. Now, look at this. It's telling me that it cannot find patients. How can we solve this? Again, what I like to do as well, everyone, sometimes I like that the code dictates what we do next. So in this case, it's telling me, oh, I cannot see patients. Well, you cannot see patient because what? I would have to add the entire namespace for the patient. However, how can we avoid that? How can we avoid adding the entire namespace here? Where else can we add the entire namespace? Yes, we can create a view import, okay? So the view import is useful for two reasons. We can add the namespace, and we can add, what else we can add there to the view imports? Namespace is one, and then another thing that, yes, we can add the tag helper there. So the view imports, where do I create the view imports? Do I create it under shared? Do I create it under view? Under views. Yep, okay, so I'm gonna go to the views folder, right click, add new item, and then I'm gonna create the view imports, razor view imports. Very important to have this name, underscore view imports. I'm gonna add. Now here I'm gonna say at using patient system dot models. By doing that and saving, I can go back to register, and now patient is okay, because now view imports gets automatically imported into every single view. Okay, so now we are fine. Then what should I do next here? Let's have a look at our index. Well, index has a code block at the top. So how about we add a similar code block? Okay, let's do a similar code block there. It's gonna use layout, and we have to add a title as well. So we might as well just use the same code block there in the register. So we're gonna say here, layout is equals to underscore layout, view bag title, I'm gonna call this, well, register new patients. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna stop for a second here. View start, we could think, but let's put view start a little bit down the road. So we stick to the basic elements, okay? But yes, we could do that in view start. Can we put layout in view imports? No, Younger. Layout does not go in view imports, okay? Layout can only go on view start. View imports is not for code blocks. View start is the one that would handle that, okay? Okay, I just want to do a quick pause here. Any questions? Again, we have some students very vocal, which I like, but I also worry about the ones that are quiet. The ones that are quiet are following. I mean, how is that coming across? Again, use this time well, everyone. Don't come crying afterwards, saying that it was hard, it was difficult. You have no good time to do those. Anyway, Aslan, okay, can you show the view imports one more time? Yes, no problem, Aslan, okay. That's it. For now, that's it. Using patient system dot models. Okay, we are just importing the namespace. Now, if you want to speed things up a little bit here, you could also add already the tag helper, but let's add the tag helper a little bit later when we need it, okay? I like to wait for things when we need them. Okay, so register is here. Then what? What are we gonna do next with our register? What could be, yes, thanks. So let's build our form. One very important thing, whenever you need to send information back to the server, you need to post information, submit information from the client to the server, usually via form. You have to create a form tag. Everything that goes inside the form tag goes back to the server to be stored, okay? So you're gonna create a form tag. And the form tag will have a few elements here. Okay. First one is that we're gonna be using tag helper now. We're gonna be using ASP dash. So it doesn't even show to us because we need to add the tag helper to our view imports. Okay, to be able to use tag helpers. Okay, so don't try to memorize that. I don't memorize that. I don't expect you to memorize that. But I expect you to be able to copy and paste that. So here is the add tag helper directive. And then it's going to import everything from this library. Okay? So again, don't try to type this. Don't try to type this. Copy and paste. I'm going to paste that in our chat. Okay? Again, by the end of today, I'm gonna give you this code, okay? So don't worry. Anyway, I'm adding the tag helper here to the view imports because now I can go back to the form tag and I can say ASP dash dash what? What should I do here for the register? What is the action? What is the action that we're gonna be submitting this information to? Let's use the action. We didn't create this action yet, but we're gonna create it, okay? So let's use the register action here, okay? We will create that register in a second. And then the second one, the second parameter or the second attribute that I'm gonna set is the method here. What should be the method? It says a get, a delete, a post. Well, we are just using gets and posts, okay? So we are using a post here. Thank aren't register for submit. Yes. Yes, register will be used for submit. Now, actually going to be using register for two things. We have a get and we have a post as well, okay? But you're going to see that in a second. Submit button at the bottom. Yes, yes. So we have a submit button. So here's our form tag. Now we have to put the fields that we're going to be collecting. For each property that we have from the patient, we have to have a field here, okay? So I'm going to start with something very simple. I'm just going to say name. Then I can use, which control should I use? Which HTML tag should I use to collect the name? Input. So I'm going to say name, input. Now, I want this input to be automatically connected to which property? Which property should be connected to this input field? We're going to be using, yes, we're going to be using ASP4, which is a tag helper, linking it to the name property. Okay, so I'm going to say ASP-4. Again, ASP action is a tag helper. ASP4 is a tag helper. Those are available because we have placed the tag helper in the view imports. Okay, so I'm going to connect ASP-4 to name, and I'm going to close this. Now, what if I say first name? Look what would happen. Look, can you see the squiggly line? Can you see the red line? It says that patient, which is our model, doesn't have any property called first name. So the fact that we add @model at the top allows us to use ASP4 to automatically bind. So this, what I'm demonstrating here, this is called model binding, because those properties, they get connected automatically to the properties of the model. So this process is called model binding. We are binding the controls in the UI to the properties in the model. Okay? Does that make sense? I'm going to give a second for you to process this. We're going to do this for each field. So age, we're going to collect that as well. Age here. Another input field. We have a few more here. We have the address, the occupation. So let's do a little bit of copy and paste here. Address, occupation, then we have occupation. I think occupation, I misspelled that. It's with two C's, isn't it? Let me just check here. Okay, quite sure it is. Yep. So I did some misspelling there. Yeah. Okay. So occupation, then what else we have? Okay, so those are very traditional inputs. Look, for the has insurance and has occupation, because they are booleans, we can actually use the same thing. We can just say has insurance and had previous occupation, sorry, had previous operation. Now, look at this. This guy here, the tag helper, is so smart that it detects that this is, well, I have some spelling there. Let me see. Well, let's call it had previous operation. So this tag helper is smart enough to know that because we are using booleans here, it should be a checkbox, not an input text box. Okay, it does that automatically for us. Okay, that's the magic of model binding, is that and tag helpers as well. And what else? Oh, okay, so any questions so far? I'm doing, by the way, I'm doing a very simple HTML here, just so you focus on what is important, but you're gonna make this a little bit more elaborate. We're gonna put this in a table as well. Yes, Young, marital status. So marital status is the one that is a little bit more involving because we have a drop down. Okay, so we're gonna say status, and here the control that you're gonna be using is a select. So I'm gonna say select. And I'm also going to use ASP-4 equals to the name of the property. The property is called marital status. Okay? And then here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the options for the marital status. Each option in this drop down. So I'm going to say option. I'm going to set the value if that option is selected. I can pre-select one, I can leave it empty. It doesn't matter which option you use. I can say that by default, the first one will be selected. So I can say married. And I can have another one for each one of the Visual Studio does some tabbing for us automatically, which sometimes I don't like. I think it's Shift Tab. Yeah, Shift Tab here. So I'm gonna say 1, 2, 3, 4. And here we have single, we have divorced, and we have widowed. Okay? That's our form. That is our form. Questions, comments? In a very simple way, to wrap things up, our form, I have to add a submit button at the very end to be able to submit this. Okay, so I'm gonna say button type equals to submit. And I'm gonna close this, I'm gonna say save. Okay, so I'm gonna save at the end. Now, of course, there are a few things that we are missing. We are missing how are we calling the register and how are we saving them. That's fine. But in a nutshell, this is the form. This is the form that will collect the patient information. Again, I'm going to pause for a second. Any questions? Let me see there in Padlet. Again, this question I will be addressing at at the right moment, okay? Okay, so let's do this. It's 9:30. Let's take 5 minutes. Let's just refill our water. Once we come back, we'll wrap things up here, okay? So 5 minutes and we will be back. Okay, can you still hear me well? Just a quick confirmation. Okay, awesome. Okay, so now let's do one thing. Actually, let me ask you, what should we do next here? We have our register form. If we keep following the clues, what should be the natural next step here? What should we go and do now as a next step? We have the form, but what is it that we're missing? Juhi, I would not, let's not go to input validation, okay? Let's not require that. I'm actually more looking for a way, how can I reach the registration? How can I reach this point? What can I do to reach here? Mehmet, repository is after we save it, but let's not save it yet. Let me ask you this, how can I run the application and see the form? Yes, Juhi, so let's go back to the controller. And in the controller, we only have one action so far. So now we need 2 actions to deal with the register. We need 1 action to get the form and show it, and another action to be able to submit the form. So I'm gonna say here, I'm gonna say public view result register, and here this is the get, okay? I'm gonna say return view. So this register here will show the form, okay? Let's see if it does that. Let's give this a try. So we have the index. What should I do here to activate the register form, the register view? What should I do? What should I type in the URL? I don't have a link, so what should I type in the URL to activate the register? Just like this? Just like this? Sali? Okay, let's see. Uh-oh. What is it that we are not doing? What is it that we forgot to do here? Look at the URL structure. Remember. No. We are missing something in the URL. Yes, thank you. So we are missing the home. Okay? If we just do this, look. If you look at this URL, and if I ask you, what is the controller? In this URL, what is the controller? Yes, correct thing. So in this URL here, the controller is register. No, but it should not. So we have to have home for the controller, register for the action. So we have our form. Now, our form looks a little bit funny, né? I think that it would be better if it's underneath each other. How about we make a few changes and we pretty this up with a little bit beta HTML. Again, I'm not gonna explain HTML here. I'm just gonna make some changes to the register form so that we can put this inside the table and make it look better, okay? Again, I'm gonna restructure this inside the table. I'm not gonna explain you how to put a HTML table together. But I'm gonna pretty this up using the same elements. Okay? So I'm gonna do some replacements here. I put in tables. Again, I just did a restructure to place this in tables and make this look a little bit better. Let's see. Okay, so one underneath the other. And I also put a cancel button here. The cancel button is just going back to the index view. Okay? Cancel will go back to the first view, okay? Does that make sense? Again, just trying to make sure. I just did HTML reformatting. That's it. Nothing else. Okay, so we have it here. But when I click save, it doesn't do anything. It stays here. Okay, even if I put some information and I put some address here. See, it doesn't do anything. It's not doing anything here. Okay? The reason is easy to understand, because in the controller, we just have one single view, one single action for both the get and the post. However, we have to create one action to get the form, to show the form, and another action when we post the form. So I'm gonna have to do what here? What can I do to differentiate and create two actions with the same name, but one is for get, the other one is for post? What should I do? What should I annotate here? Yeah, it's an example of overload, Aslan, but I have to annotate. Yes, I have to say HTTP get here. This becomes the get action, and then we have a post action as well. It's an overload, but we have a post action. However, we have to make sure that we have different parameters. For the post, what is the parameter that I'll be waiting in the post? When we are posting the patient, yes, Young, we are expecting to get a patient back from the view. So I'm gonna say patient as a parameter, patient. And I'm gonna call it patient here, or just P. If I want just P, that's fine. Patient P. And here inside, we're gonna be storing this. We're gonna be storing this patient somewhere. So, because our form is attached to the model, when we click submit, MVC magically converts all those properties to fields, convert all those values to fields in a new patient. So we receive back a new patient here. Now that's correct, Young. We need a repository, because now we have to store this somewhere. Okay? So I'm gonna create a very simple repository here. Okay? I'm not gonna be using an interface. I'm not gonna be using dependency injection. I'm not gonna be using that. I'm gonna be creating a very simple static class to represent our in-memory repository. Okay? So in the models, I'm gonna right click, I'm gonna add a new item. It's a class. It's a new class here. And I'm gonna call this, again, you can call another name, but I'm gonna call this repository. Okay? You can call it patient repository, that's fine as well, okay? This is a very simple repository. So I'm just gonna call it repository. So I'm gonna add, and because I want only one single repository for the entire application, I want this repository, which is a class, but I want this class to be static. I want to be able to access the repository in memory by using a static class, okay? I don't want to create instances of this, okay? So I'm gonna say public, that's correct, Young, public static class repository. I'm gonna add the list of patients as a private field here inside this class. So I'm gonna say private static because I'm using a static class. All members will have to be static as well. Static, I'm gonna use a list. And I'm gonna say what is the type of this list? It's a list of patients. I'm gonna call this patients. I'm gonna use lowercase p because this is a private property. And I'm at the same time that I'm declaring it, I'm going to instantiate it. I'm gonna say new list of patients. This is the constructor. I'm gonna call the default constructor here. So I'm creating a private list of patients, declaring and creating it, constructing it right away. Okay? Great. So I have a place to store. But now, because it's private, I need somehow a way to expose this to outside. Okay? So I'm going to expose this patients list via a property, via a public property, via actually a read-only public property. I can say public static as well because the class is static list of patients. I'm going to use a list here as well. I'm going to keep everything as lists, okay? And I'm going to call this capital P patients. I think this will answer the question here that we have. Why does the repository patients is started with a capital P? I assume that this is, again, when we go to the patient list, we're going to be using this property here, which is capital P, to return the list of patients. So return patients. So again, we have this patient capital P as the public property that returns the list of patients. Remember that data we protect, remember that in object-oriented programming, we protect the data. We expose data via public properties like this. Okay? So that's why we use the capital P, not the lowercase p, because lowercase p is private. Okay? Okay, so we are exposing here. That's fine. That's okay. Let's go back to our register here. So I have P that I need to store. So I'm going to store that in the repository. So I'm going to call repository dot. Now, I need to add patients, this P patients, to their repository list. But I only have a get property. Get is only for getting information inside the class to outside. I'm going to create a method here to be able to add new patients to this list. Okay? So I'm going to say, hey, add this patient to the list. So I'm going to say here, public static, because again, we are in a static method, static class, add patient. Or I could call this just add, that would be fine as well. But I'm gonna say patient P, and then I can say public static void. So this is a void, there is no return type. And here I can say patients dot add P. Okay, so we created a method that receives the patient and adds the patient to the private collection here, to the private list. Okay? Now, from here, I can say repository dot add patient P. And now we start the patient. With that, we are storing it. Should we give it a try? Let's give this a try. Okay, so now I have to type for now because I did not build the navigation yet. Let's go to register. I'm gonna put a breakpoint here so you can see things working, okay? I'm gonna say, yeah, my name here and 48 and 123 Main Street, instructor. So has insurance. I'm gonna check all of them and I'm gonna click on save, okay? It stopped there. Look, P. If I expand P, look, all properties that I filled up. See? Address, age, previous operation, marital status, occupation, registration date, everything is there. And now we are adding our patients to the repository. Okay? I'm gonna run again. I'm gonna keep it running. And it stayed there. Why it stayed? Because we are just calling view again. So when we call view again, it just stays where it is. But remember, the exercise is asking us to, so we did this, create a repository to store pages, we did this. We didn't create the patient list yet, but we're gonna do that. And what we actually need to do is we need to send to the thank you view. Look, after registering a patient, display a thank you message that says patient has been successfully registered as on date. Okay, so we have to create this view, the thank you view. Okay, again, give me something there, tell me if you are following, tell me if you have questions. Again, I'm here to help you out, but now we have to take care of our thank you view. Okay, because now we are just running and it's staying in the same view over and over again. Okay, can you show the repository? Yeah, no problem. So I'm gonna close this. The repository is this. I'm gonna copy the code if you are interested in the codes, Aslan. I will copy it to Padlet. So you can quickly copy it from here and use it, okay? Again, this will be given to you at the end of today. Okay, so let's keep moving forward. Let's do our, so let's create our thank you view. So our thank you view, we're gonna go to the home. I'm gonna go to add, new item, web, razor view. I'm gonna call this thank you. I'm gonna delete everything. Thank you will give the information of the patient that was stored. So the model will be, we have a model as well, which is linked to patient. We have the patient information here. What is the message? Let's see. The message is this. So I'm gonna say, let's say here, I'm gonna say that I can put this in a H2, and the message is this. Patient, this is the name of the patient. What is the name of the patient? At model, name, has been successfully registered as occupation at model dot occupation on date time at model date registration date. So this is the message. I'm gonna send the patient model to the thank you view, and I'm gonna say the name. I'm gonna need the name, the occupation, and the date. Okay. Now I go back to the controller. View here, instead of not having parameters, I'm gonna say I want the thank you view, and I'm gonna give to it the patient model. I'm gonna give P to it. So it's gonna call thank you. It's gonna give the new patient, because the new patient is coming through here. We add in the repository, and we're gonna show the information with a thank you note. Okay. I'm gonna run this so we can have a look. I'm gonna say home register. We're gonna take care of the navigation in a second, okay? But for now, I'm gonna put the name. Has insurance, has operation, and save it. Okay, so now it says, Ederson C. Oliveira has been successfully registered as instructor on this date and time. Okay, that's a thank you. That is the thank you note. Okay. Questions? How about we take care of the navigation? We take care of the main navigation now. See, our application doesn't have navigation yet. So how about we add navigation, a basic navigation to the register and to the list. Okay, we're gonna have a basic navigation here at the top. Okay, so where should I add a basic navigation? Which file should I add that to? Yep, Yonga, in the layout. So in the layout, I have to add the navigation there. So I'm gonna go here to the layout file, and at the top, I'm gonna put something very simple here. I'm just gonna say, I'm gonna add another div, and I'm gonna add two links. One to the, actually three links. One to the home, one to the register, and one to the list that we did not create yet. We have to create that. So I'm gonna put one link here, ASP action. This action will go to the home. So the first option is home, and then add, and then list. Okay, so home will link to which action? Which action is the home? It indicates the home. Yes, Mehmet, it's the index. Okay, so the first one is index. We're gonna call this home. I'm gonna put a pipe just to divide them. The next one is ASP action. The next one for the register. I'm gonna call this, well, let's call it register, a new patient. Let's call this register patient. Let's go put the pipe there. And the last one, let's call this ASP action. Let's call this list. We're going to create the list now. And we're going to call this list. And that's about it. We have our basic navigation there. Home, register, patient, and list. List of patients. I don't know if this will give an error if I try to run now, because there's no list yet, but let me give it a try. Let's have a look. Okay, so we have home. I can click there. Register patient, I I can click there as well. Goes to register and list of patients. Of course, there's nothing yet because we didn't create the list yet, okay? So we're gonna do that now. We're gonna create a list of patients. So to create a list of patients this time, let's start with the controller. Let's create an action that's called what? What is the name of the action here? List. Okay, so let's go public. Aslan, on my home controller it shows an error that repository is not in the current context. Again, make sure that you have the namespace at the top, Aslan. Patient system.models, okay? Make sure that you have that. Make sure that repository is under models, okay? You have to make sure that, again, that it's a static class. You have to make sure that it's in the correct using at the top, okay? So view results, list, we're gonna call it list, and there are no parameters here. However, when we call return, we're gonna call with view, but what is the data that we have to send to the list view? Which data do we have to send there? Let's think about that. What is the data that we have to send to the list? We have to send the collection of patients. Then, how can we access the collection of patients? Well, via the repository. So you can say repository.patients. Okay? Now, we're gonna do something else with these patients here, but not right now. Let's keep it like this. So we're calling the view because we are not providing the name of the view. It means that it has to match the name of the method. So now we create our view, our list view, our last view here, our last list view. Add new item. We're gonna create a razor view called list. First thing that we have to do when you create a view is think, is there a model attached to this view? In this case, we have. So let's say at model. To make things a little bit easier, I'm gonna link this to, actually, let me ask you, which model should I link here to? Model what? What is the type that I should link to? To the repository? Well, I don't want the repository. I just want the patients. I want the collection of patients. So I need to link this to exactly what should I write here? Because I'm sending to it the patients. Yes, exactly thing. We have to connect it to the list of patients. Because we want the collection, okay? And here, to access this list of patients, we have to use what? Which structure? Which control structure we have to do here? Yes, we have to do a table, but this table has to be included. Actually, we have to include a for each loop inside this table. So we can say something like this, table, and then we have tr, let's say name, sorry, td, name, those are the columns, td, and then we're gonna have each field here. I'm gonna put 2 for now, address, so we can give this a try, okay? So I just put 2. So name and address here. That's the header, okay? Now, I have to say for each what? For each patient P in model. And then here, I have to loop through and get each patient information. So I have to say tr, which is the table row, td, which brings, then we can put at p dot name in the loop, and we can say td.p, td dot address. Okay, and I'm gonna just keep it like this for now, and we can add the other fields afterwards. But let's see if this is working. Let's have a look. Okay, so we have home, register patients, and then list of patients. You see, we don't have anything here. Oh, by the way, we forgot something there. We forget to add the block at the top that use the same layout. So I'm gonna copy the block, and I'm gonna paste it here as well. View bag dot title will be list of patients. If I refresh, I should be able to see the layout here as well. So we have the navigation at the top, register patients here. Now let's register patients. Let's see. Save. Okay. Oh, in the thank you as well, we missed this in the thank you. So where's the thank you? We missed that. So this is the thank you. Most likely if I refresh this, we may have two patients because then it's gonna get saved twice, but that's okay. So it's gonna submit again. And if we go to the list of patients, we see two. It's just that because I resubmitted, so it's showing the information, okay? It's showing the list of patients. Now it's a very basic layout, okay? Great. Let's have a quick look at the exercise again. So we did this one, the form, create the patient list and model, we did this, create a repository, we did this, create a list view to display the list of patients, all patient info. We didn't display all patient info yet, so let's finish that. Let's go to the list and display all patient information. So I'm gonna say age, address, occupation. We're gonna have the fields at the top as well. All fields here. Name, age, address, occupation. Has insurance. We're gonna do something a little bit different here. Look, td at p dot has insurance. For that, we're gonna be using this structure that we saw in the advanced when we were talking about advanced C# features. Has insurance. If it's true, it's gonna say yes. If it's false, it's gonna say no. So look, we can use this inside our Razor script. If it's true, say yes. If it's false, say no. We're gonna do the same thing with had previous operation. Okay? If it's true, yes. If it's false, no. And the last one, Mérito status, because we're using 1, 2, 3, and 4, we're gonna use a switch statement here. So we're gonna say td at switch. Switch what? We're gonna test what? The Mérito status. So p.Mérito status. We don't need to repeat at here because we are in a code line. And then from here, we're gonna say open and close, case 1, print merit. And then we're gonna say break. Okay. And then we have to use the same structure over again and over again. For 1, 2, 3, and 4, we have to say single, divorced, and widowed. Okay, so we are just using a switch statement. That's it. Just testing the value of this. Let's give this another try. So let's see the list of patients. Nothing shows up. Register patient. Let's add myself one more time. So I'm going to keep has insurance true, had operations before false. Save this. List of patients. Now you see, oops, I have a problem here. Okay, let's fix this. What was wrong here? Oh, okay. Sorry about that. This at is supposed to be outside, okay? That's it. It's not supposed to be inside, it's out. It should include the whole thing, okay? Inside the parentheses. Yep, that was it. Let's see, refresh. And now it's okay. You see yes, no, single here. Registration date, I missed that one. I didn't put that one. Registration date is the last one. It's gonna be right here. If we refresh there, we have the registration date as well. Now we can pretty this up adding Bootstrap, but before that, let's have a look at our exercise again. So create a list of patients, display there, we are doing that. The list view must display the list of patients in alphabetical order. Okay, that's the important one. Alphabetical order, how can we do that? Well, let's go back to our code. Let's go to our controller. And in our controller, we have to change patients here slightly because we have to order by patient name. So we have to use a little bit of lambda here. So you're gonna have to say dot order by, and then here's where we have to use lambda. We can say p such that p dot name. Because we are using the order methods, by doing this, it's gonna be ordering by name. So it's gonna alphabetically sort that by name, okay? Now, I have to close this. But one quick thing is because we are using a list in our list view. The output of the order by is not necessarily a list, it's actually an IEnumerable. So we have two options here. We can either change list to IEnumerable, that's one option. The other one is we can convert. So I just want to break this up here. We can convert order by and convert this to a list. We can say dot, sorry, let me do this. I'm just trying to break the lines here to make this a little bit better visible. So I can say dot to list of patient. And this is a method. So we are calling the collection patients. We are ordering by patient name. Because the output of patient of order by is an IEnumerable, we have to convert to a list if we want to keep the model as list here, okay? So this will sort by name. Let's give this a try. Let's try to put two names and see if it's sorting by name, order by name as well. So, register patient. I'm gonna register Tom. And okay. Okay, that's occupation. Da, da, da. Please select. This is a divorced guy. So let's go to the list of patients. So Tom is the only one. Let's add another one. Let's add myself now. Let's go to the list, and you see, I was the second one to be added. However, because we are ordering by name, I'm the first one, and Tom is the second one. Can you show me the namespace for home controller? The namespace is controllers. So look, it follows the name of the folder, patient system.controllers. Okay, Yonga? Okay, let's have a look there. So the only thing that we are missing here is the logo and a little bit of styling, okay? When you add two lists, it complains when you add two lists. Okay, Yonga, you are probably missing this, system.link. Make sure that you have system.link up there, okay? Because that's link that does the, you have it? Okay, I can check with you if you want to show me your code later as soon as we're done. But okay, so we can have a quick look at that. So to wrap things up, I'm gonna create two folders in the www root folder. I'm gonna go add new folder. I'm gonna call images, and I'm gonna add new folder. I'm gonna call CSS. Under CSS, I'm gonna create our styling. I'm gonna add new item, and we're gonna find here somewhere scripts or content here, style sheet. I'm gonna call this styles. You can put any name you want, okay? I'm gonna just add styles here. I'm gonna keep it empty for now. And the images, you can add whatever image you have. That's fine. I'm gonna add my own logo image, okay? So I'm gonna add that image that you saw there. I'm gonna go to Explorer. I'm just pasting the file, okay? Just pasting the patient image here. That's it. And then now I can have the patient image. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add this image as the logo in the layout. So I'm gonna say, in the layout, I'm gonna say img, src, so images, patient. I'm gonna close this. I'm gonna create I'm gonna define a class because this image is a little bit big. If you're gonna see, if I run this, you're gonna see that the image is big for the logo. Look, it's quite big. So I'm gonna decrease that by creating a class. I'm gonna create a simple class there, a CSS class that demonstrates that I can use, I know how to use CSS a little bit, and I know how to use the styles. So I'm gonna define a logo class with the width of 80 pixels, and it will flow to the left, so we can have content in the right hand side of that. So again, this is just showing the use of CSS. I'm gonna go to the layout. I'm gonna say class equals to logo. And here at the top, I'm gonna make a reference to that CSS. I'm gonna say link rel style sheet, and href equals to css styles. I'm gonna close this. Again, I'm gonna add the style, the reference to the style. If I run this again, or if I just refresh, sorry, if I run this, so we have the little logo there, okay? And we have the navigation, and we have concluded our exercise here. Okay? Look, we can navigate, we can save. Of course, we can make this look better if we add Bootstrap. You don't have to add Bootstrap because it's not asking. You can. But I can tell you this. There will be one bonus point in the test that will, if you want to be able to click in one patient and see the details of that patient. Again, not gonna be doing right now, and I will not be asking that mandatory for you on the test, but it will be optional for you. Mandatory is what we have gone through, and again, this is the exercise. Of course, you can make this look better with a little bit more effort, but that's about it. That is it. Yonga, do you want to share your screen? Okay, so I'm gonna stop sharing my screen, and I'm gonna allow you to share yours. Go for it, Yonga. You can share yours. By the way, everyone, I will not be taking attendance today. That's fine. Let's just leave it for now. We just concentrate on what needed to be done. That's fine. Patient 2. Okay, Yonga, this is a method, so you have to finish it with an opening and closing parentheses after the patient 2. Yeah. That was it? Oh, no problem, no problem. So, everyone, that's it. That's it for now. If you have any questions, any comments, let me know. I will be uploading this exercise to eCentennial. You're gonna have this as a reference. Write down your notes. Have this exercise, the source code, handy for you during the test. Okay? It will help you a lot, but have your notes there as well. Okay? Practice this exercise again. Practice it again. And you will be ready for the test. I know that there are lots of little steps, but hey, that's it. Mine one is showing an arrow. Will you see it for... Okay, no problem. So, Aslan, let me stop my screen. If you want to share yours, go for it. Okay, scroll to the top, Aslan. Okay, can you show me this patient 2? Where is this patient 2?
Professor, I just did, I don't know, like what.
So the problem is with register. Oh, but the first one has no parameter, Aslan.
Okay.
The get one has no parameter there.
Over here?
See, the constructor there, sorry. Yeah, get rid of the, let me see if I can annotate on yours. Get rid of this patient P in the get one.
Okay.
Yep, get rid of that. There's no, you're just calling the view. You are not passing anything there.
Okay, sorry. That's why it was not working. That's why.
That's it. Aslan.
Okay. Thank you so much, Professor.
Okay, everyone, so have a good rest of the week. I'll see you all Friday. Did you talk about midterm? I was a little bit. Peitong, this whole exercise was about midterm. Peitong, go back to the recording. The entire day today was about the exercise, was about the midterm. This entire exercise was about midterm. Did you get that, Peitong? Juhi, same time as usual, okay? No, same time on Friday. Same time. Again, Peitong, have a look at the recording here. It was all about the midterm. There was nothing else other than the midterm today. Okay, everyone. My pleasure. Thank you, everyone. Again, have a good week. Hope that you do well in all tests that you have to do, okay? Thank you, Zanab. Sayed. If anyone gets stuck, let me know. Share your code on Slack. I'll have a look. If anyone gets stuck, reach out via email. Bye now, everyone. Bye.